The Davis Knight Show. Yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Davis Knight Show, the podcast where we talk about real life, confidence, and how to handle schools, friends, and everything in between. I'm your host, Davis Knight, and today we got a cool news story, some trivia, a joke, and a tech tip. So let's jump into this. First up is USUs. We're going to talk about controlling our emotions when everything feels like too much. School, friends, sports, social media, expectations, and just, life. Let's start with a few quotes for this week. First up is by Mr. Beast. The best way to get better is to keep going. Next up is by Taylor Swift. No matter what happens in life, be good to people. Being good to people is a wonderful legacy to leave behind. Also, here's one by Ariana Grande. Be happy being you. Now time for the scripture of the week. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. Here is what this means. The only person you can truly control is yourself. You can't control what other people say. You can't control their opinions. You can't control their choices or their actions. And trust me, I'd love to. But you can control how you respond. Confidence grows when you stop trying to manage everyone else and start leading yourself with effort, kindness, and self-control. So here's how to use this in real life. When this happens to me, I use something called the pause and breathe move. If I catch myself feeling like I'm about to explode, I talk to myself, not out loud, just in my head. And I say, Davis, take a pause. Then I do this. I slowly put my head down, then up, and take 3 slow breaths in and out. While I'm breathing, I say in my head, I can do this. I've got this, and I am in control. So I'm going to get out there and do my best. It sounds simple, but it works, because it gives your brain a second to calm down before you make your next move. I challenge you to try this when you feel like you want to explode, or if you are really, really, really frustrated. It really works. You have my word. Now it is time for a new edition, What in the World, where we look about how leadership, freedom, and responsibility show up in the real news. First up, scientists are testing solar-powered robots to clean up the ocean. This is to preserve wildlife and keep waterways cleaner using technology and innovation. I think this is a great idea because water is very polluted. While we can't see it, it floats away and it really harms the animals. Also, Venezuela in the U.S. Senate vote. This week, the U.S. Senate voted on a resolution related to the U.S. involvement with Venezuela. The resolution would have limited the president's authority in handling the situation. Republican senators blocked the resolution, however, which means the limits were not put in place and current policy remains the same. Now it is time for a new thing. RFK Jr. and the new food pyramid. The federal government released a new food pyramid under Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s leadership at Health and Human Services. This new version encourages people to eat more whole foods like fruits, vegetables, and protein, and less processed food and added sugar. This is very important because I do this every day, and just what we need to keep Americans healthy. Also, think about this. How can a strong character guide your actions at school, at home, and with friends? Now it is time for some trivia. Question 1 is science-themed. What part of the brain is most responsible for decision-making and impulse control? A, the cerebellum, B, the amygdala, C, the prefrontal cortex, or D, the hippocampus? I'm going to give a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is C, the prefrontal cortex. Here's an explanation. This part of the brain helps you think ahead, control impulses, and make smart choices. Next up is civics themes. What is the only branch of U.S. government that can formally declare war? A, executive, B, legislative, C, judicial, or D, state governments? I'm going to give a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is B, the legislative branch, aka Congress. The Constitution gives Congress this power, so no single person can decide to take the country into war in bad faith. Question 3 is U.S. history themed. Which Supreme Court case enabled the principle of judicial review in the United States? A, Brown versus the Board of Education. B, Marbury versus Madison, C. Roe versus Wade, or D. Plessy versus Ferguson? I'm going to give a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is B. Marbury versus Madison. Here's an explanation. This case gives the Supreme Court the power to decide whether laws follow the Constitution. Question 4 is sports themed. Who is playing in the national championship game this Monday night at 7 p.m.? A. Indiana versus Miami. B. Oregon versus Indiana. C. Miami versus Florida. Or D. Florida versus Auburn. I'm going to give a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is A. Indiana versus Miami. This is a big moment because Indiana is making its first ever run at a national football title, putting them on a national stage against the Powerhouse program. Go Hoosiers, by the way. Question 5. What is the only country in the world that is also a continent? A. Australia. B. Greenland. C. Antarctica. Or D. Brazil. I'm going to give a minute to think. The correct answer is A. Australia. Australia is the only place in the world that is both a country and an entire continent. Now time for the fun stuff. Are you ready to smile? Drum roll, please. I said please. Joke of the week. Why did the student bring a ladder to school? Any guesses? Because they heard the class was on another level. Haha, get it? Level? Now time for the tech tips. I normally do this tech tip every year, but a lot of apps and games may charge monthly subscriptions, and sometimes people forget they even signed up. Ask your parent to help you do a subscription check. Go to Settings, tap your name, then tap Subscriptions, and cancel the ones you don't need. Look for apps nobody uses anymore, like literally nobody, games you stopped playing, and streaming services no one watches or have nothing good on it. Getting rid of stuff you don't use is a confidence move. It means you're being responsible with money and smart with choices. It also helps you save up more. Here's also a shout out to one of my favorite apps, Kahoot! I'm a big fan and love using the platform to study and practice. It really helps me ace my tests, and teachers can use it to host quizzes in class. This is an app I highly recommend to all my friends who want to make learning feel more like a game and less like homework. Okay, now, just to remind you to please donate to the Davis Knight Show in my Be a Mind Leader campaign with Advent Health. To donate, please go to www.thedavisknightshow.com, and then under the About Us section, you will see the link to donate. And if you can't donate, please remember to rate and review my podcast. And remember this, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be brave enough to make it your next move. This is Davis Knight, and I'll see you next time on The Davis Knight Show, where confidence isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Bye, everyone.